Welcome back to the Stephan Show. My name is Graham, and welcome to my show. And today, what we're going to be doing is covering some news. That's right, none of the stimulus stuff, no more election talk. We're going to get into some really interesting topics today because I got two doozies for you. The first one is with the rich guy, Dan Bilzerian. He's the guy who posts on Instagram with all of his cars and women, just crazy stuff. But I took a look over some of this. And his spending lately is insane. He's involved in multiple lawsuits right now. So first of all, we're going to go over some of the alleged issues. And then the second one we got is that two billionaire neighbors have a dispute. And there's an issue right now with the sculpture in front of one billionaire's house, and the other billionaire doesn't like it. So we're going to talk about that, and then I will give my perspective of which billionaire is right. So you're going to get a millionaire's perspective of a billionaire. Just wait, guys. One of these days, it's going to go from millionaire reacts to billionaire reacts. Then we get a whole new level here arguing about sculptures. So anyway, with that said, let's make sure to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm, and let's begin here. Dan Bilzerian started this company. It's called Ignite, and what they do is they sell CBD products and all that good stuff. So anyway, Dan Bilzerian started this company and then hired an accountant. Well, the accountant had a bit of a disagreement with what Dan Bilzerian would call business expenses. So anyway, let's take a look at some of these expenses. So this accountant claims that Instagram Playboy, Dan Bilzerian's cannabis company, funded such extravagant personal expenses as a $40,000 rock climbing wall, a $15,000 ping pong table, and a $130,340 Bahamas photo shoot, and then he got fired for refusing to approve these expenses. Now, he also claims that Ignite took a PPP loan from the government. Now, for those who are not aware of what that is, that's a payment protection program to basically give companies money who need it. Now, what that was really for is to provide companies with money to retain their employees, and that money would either be given at a really low interest rate or the money would just be forgiven entirely if it's spent on qualified employee payroll expenses. So anyway, what Curtis says is that he refused to misclassify a Paycheck Protection Program government loan as miscellaneous income on Ignite's balance sheets, which honestly just makes sense to me. I mean, on a balance sheet, you're not supposed to be titling a loan income, because even though you receive money, you also have an equal proportion of debt. So you gotta count both. This isn't just income. It's a loan that you have to pay back. The money has to come back from somewhere. So it makes sense why this accountant is like, I don't want my name on these records because then I'm the one responsible for it if I don't say something. This accountant goes on to say that he traveled the world with a harem of models that would make Hugh Hefner jealous. Maybe the accountant's, I don't know if the accountant needed to say that. That makes him look a little salty. However, an outside auditor flagged the models and nearly $1 million of the company's money as suspicious expenses, such as lavish trips and an $18,000 liquor tab for the Valentine's Day party. Bilzerian expected the company to quickly rubber stamp them as business expenses, and when Mr. Hefferman refused to do that and participate in financial fraud, they fired him. Hefferman also opposed attempts to inflate revenue and raised serious concerns of financial fraud, according to the complaint. So yeah, my thoughts initially on this is that it sounds sketchy. To me, it sounds sketchy. I mean, here's the thing. Dan Bilzerian could argue that part of his whole brand image is this extravagant lifestyle, and that in turn helps him sell CBD. Let's start with the $40,000 rock climbing wall. If this rock climbing wall is used in an area that is 100% exclusive for business, and its only purpose is just for business use. So he's never doing this recreationally. He's not building a rock climbing wall and then like, oh, it's a Saturday afternoon, I'm gonna go climb my rock climbing wall. You can't do that. If the rock climbing wall is purely used as a prop or something for business, you could argue that's a legitimate write-off. So on a rock climbing wall, for instance, let's just say you're able to write off, I don't know, $10,000 a year. So yeah, you could write it off just $10,000 a year increments. So maybe something like that. A $15,000 ping pong table, you might be able to classify that as office decor. So I mean it's possible. That's a possible expense. And then this one, a $130,000 Bahamas photo shoot. Again, that could also be argued as a legitimate business expense if that photo shoot was exclusively for his product. This article from TMZ also suggests that they got some other crazy expenses here, okay? Lavish spending on a $75,000 paintball field. I don't know how you could argue a paintball field is exclusively for business use. I mean, man, if you create an office space and the paintball field is just used for like a benefit to the employees, then maybe you could argue that. And then if it gets flagged, you gotta argue that to the IRS. That's questionable. $60,000 on a Star Wars gun set. That's when it becomes a little bit more questionable, because you could argue that the gun set could be a collector's item, and therefore a collector's item with value. You can't really write that off. Same thing with writing off like a valuable piece of artwork, because artwork in itself doesn't really depreciate over time. I mean, you could argue wear and tear, but overall, it's not like you're going to buy the Mona Lisa and then 10 years down the line, the whole painting will have been just gone. That doesn't work like that. So Star Wars gun set would be very difficult. $31,000 on pool renovations. You could deduct repairs on a rental property like that. Or let's say a company is renting a place and they have to repair something. Those repairs are fully tax deductible. Now, renovations or upgrades, you're not supposed to just write them off all the first year. You're supposed to depreciate them, because now that's adding value to something. Like let's say, for example, a roof on a rental property. Believe it or not, if the roof needs repair, that repair is tax deductible. But if I put on a brand new roof, you got to depreciate that over a certain length of time, because it's a brand new roof and that roof has like a 20-year lifespan to it. So $31,000 on pool renovations. It sounds iffy. You would have to know the context of this. Hefferman claims Dan's company was also burning tons of money on luxury yacht rentals, plus transportation for hot models. Why do they have to specify their hot models? Couldn't he just say for models? Do you really have to rate them? Like, oh yeah, they have transportation for the mediocre models, for the not so hot mod. They have to say for the hot models, for the highly attractive models. Just to say models, it's weird when you say hot models. And then he said he found other business expenses that turned out to be charges for groceries and various household items. That's a no-no. I'm probably siding with the accountant here. I'm probably siding with the accountant knows what he's doing. He knows that Dan's not using this all exclusively for business. Probably the ping pong tables in the house. They're playing around on it. They're writing it off as just excess marketing. And then finally, in the lawsuit itself, here's what we got here. Ignite reported business expenses, including leftover liquor from a Valentine's Day party, $18,000, an unexplained charge for a flight from Las Vegas to London, $104,000, social media charge for boosting Instagram followers, $26,000, and numerous charges for Instacart groceries, lotions, razors, trash bags, kitchen glove, bedding, paper plates, snacks for staff, laundry detergent, dishwasher, Trader Joe's, and Amazon. It sounds like what Dan Bilzerian did is he just took all of his expenses, grouped them together as business expenses, because he's the face of the company and he could argue his brand image sells the product. But it's questionable, and I think any auditor who would look at this closely would be like, you can't do that. And then, of course, on top of that, he's paying $2.4 million a year in rent for that Bel Air mansion, which I believe is also being classified as a business expense. So lots of yikes on this one, and most likely Dan is just going to fight this tooth and nail all the way to the very end. He's going to drain a lot of money on people, because probably Dan has just lawyers on payroll. Now, again, all of this is alleged. It's all just my opinion, and I'm not a tax expert, guys. Like, I find taxes really interesting, but I'm not an expert by any means, and I'm sure there's someone in the comments be like, but Graham, you can't depreciate Rockwells over 5 years. Rockwells had to be depreciated over 8 years. So probably there's going to be something I've got wrong on this one. But anyway, this is just my opinion, which then takes us to this amazing story right here. And this is now being reposted everywhere. This is like the front page right now of CNN Money. It's the front page of the LA Times. This is a big deal, guys. It's a really big deal. Right before elections, we got to talk about this. Bond billionaire Bill Gross allegedly blasted the Gilligan's Island theme song on loop during dispute with neighbors. Here's what happened. Two billionaires lived together. So anyway, here's what's going on. Two billionaires live next door to each other in Laguna Beach, California. On the one side, you got Bill Gross, who made billions of dollars in the bond market, and then on the other side, you got Mark Tofik, who is also a tech entrepreneur. So they're both billionaires. Here's what happened. Bill Gross put a piece of artwork in front of his house. It's this glass artwork. It stands about 10 feet high, and it lights up at night. Well, what ended up happening is that piece of artwork was damaged. He says a rock was thrown at it, but regardless of how it was damaged, he ended up putting a net over top of it just to protect it. In the lawsuit here, he said it cost $50,000 to repair that damage. Now, his neighbor said it was damaged by something falling on it, which sounds oddly vague, because you could claim it's like, I didn't break it. It was the rock I threw at the artwork that broke it. Like, I didn't do the damage. The rock did the damage. So Mark could certainly say something like that I didn't damage it, something else did, knowing that he threw the rock that damaged it. I'm not saying that's what happened, but he could say this and then mean something totally different, you know? It goes on to say that Tofik and his wife claimed that they had to take refuge twice in either a hotel room or with relatives to escape the music from next door. And in an application for a temporary restraining order, Tofik cited a text message allegedly sent to him by Gross. Peace on all fronts, or we'll just have nightly concerts, big boy. Who calls anybody a big boy?
Hey there, big boy.
That sounds a little odd. That one sounds odd. There's got to be more to the story, because I'm taking a look here and these glass sculptures actually seem not my cup of tea. It looks like something that would be coming up from the ground in like Indiana Jones. Like as you're walking through the grass, like these big blades of glass just shoot up when you step on the wrong thing. And it trips some wire, this is glass shooting up. It's odd. It seems like they were not on good terms to begin with. And it seems like Mark, man, I mean, if Mark throws a rock at this, that would be so stupid. But if they were not on good terms to begin with, and then Mark throws a rock and breaks this sculpture, then I think Bill has a right to be mad. I would be mad. If my neighbor damaged anything on my property, I would be mad. Even if we're not on the best of terms. You don't do that. There's a line that you don't cross, and just don't cross the line. That's fine. We could be angry at each other. That's totally cool. But just don't damage anything. Why do I feel like something crawling in there? But if Bill is going crazy and this thing just naturally got damaged, I mean, it looks like there's a palm tree. Maybe something fell from the palm tree and like damaged it. And then he's blaming his neighbor. And then when his neighbor complains about it, he starts blasting music. Then I have to side with the neighbor. It really just comes down to who damaged the piece of art. Why are they so upset to begin with? Hold on, let me look into this a little bit further here, because it's also in the LA Times. Okay, so I found out exactly what started all of this, okay? Get this. Gross and his partner Amy installed a large lighted glass art installation on their Laguna Beach property along the property line shared with their neighbors, Mark Tofik. Gross and Schwartz then installed larger poles and a protective net above the installation, and Tofik and his wife alleged the art installation partially blocked their ocean views. After several months of unsuccessful attempts to discuss the matter with Gross, according to Tofik, they filed a complaint with the city of Laguna Beach in June. The complaint prompted an investigation by the city that determined the installation, netting, and lights were a violation of city code and did not have proper permits, according to the lawsuit. So that's interesting. So I could see if it towers against something and like obstructs a view in a way that's not supposed to be obstructed, I could see why they wouldn't want their view obstructed by an ugly looking piece of glass. I get that. So anyway, shortly after, they alleged that Gross began retaliating against them by harassing and disturbing them with loud music and bizarre audio recordings at excessive levels during various hours of the day and night, including pop rap music and often a series of television theme songs, according to the lawsuit, including the Gilligan's Island theme on loop. Wow, so then Mark Tofik and his wife filed their own lawsuit the next day on October 14th. Gross accused Tofik of peeping on him, and Gross' lawsuit asks for a temporary restraining order, according to the court documents. Alright, so after reading through this all, here's what I have to say. If Bill Gross is doing something against the city code that obstructs the view of a neighbor, he's in the wrong. Flat out, even if it's on his property, if it's something that is too tall or too big or obstructs a view of somebody else, he's in the wrong on this one. I believe you're free to do whatever you want to do on your own property as long as it doesn't impact anyone else negatively. So if he wants to put up his own art installation and it doesn't block the view, so be it. It could be as ugly as he wants, it could be as bright as he wants, it could be whatever color he wants it. As long as it doesn't obstruct another's view, I'm all for it. So given all of this, and given that the city independently verified that it doesn't conform to city code, I have to agree with Mark Tofik. Flat out, Bill is in the wrong here, and as funny as it is to play Gilligan's Island, I mean, I just think it's funny. I mean, I'm sure it's not funny for Mark because he has to hear this all the time, but just me observing this online, I think it's funny. You could only be funny for so long. Like, it's funny for the first day or two. Then it's like, oh, really, my eccentric billionaire neighbor, ooh, he's up to his antics again. It's funny for like a weekend. After that, it's weird, so I gotta side with Mark Tofik on this one. Mark, if you're watching this, come on the Graham Stephan Show, we could talk about it. And Bill, Bill Gross, if you want to come on the Graham Stephan Show too, what we could do is we could sit together in a room, we'll hash it out, we'll film it for a YouTube video. It's gonna be #1 trending if we decide to do this. And I'll hear both sides, and then I will be the one to say like, hey, who's right or who's wrong, but just based on what I'm reading so far, Bill, unfortunately, sorry man, I gotta side with your neighbor Mark. It doesn't conform to code. That's not me, that's not you, that's not your neighbor. It's just, that's what city code is. You knew that going in. You spent $1 million on a piece of art that doesn't fit that. You should have done your due diligence. So Mark, sorry you have to go through with that. One weekend of it is funny, but any more than that, and yeah. You have my sympathy on that. So anyway, guys, that's what's going on in the news today that's not election and stimulus related, because I think we need a break from that just a little bit. Let's clear our minds and get to the really important topics like billionaires getting in fights with one another and playing Gilligan's Island. And then, of course, Dan Bilzerian just going crazy with his write-offs. So with that said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to destroy the like button, subscribe button, and notification bell. Also, feel free to add me on Instagram. I post here pretty much daily, so if you want to be a part of it there, feel free to add me there, as in the podcast, The Iced Coffee Hour. New episodes being posted every single Sunday, so make sure to subscribe to that. And lastly, if you guys want 3 free stocks, use the link down below in the description, and Webull is going to be giving you 3 free stocks when you deposit $100 in the platform, and I believe today might actually be the last day that you could do this. So if you're watching this right now and you have not yet done it, seriously, go and do this now. Because after this, I believe it's going down to the 2 stocks. So you're going to miss out on 1 free stock, and that stock could be worth all the way to $1,600. So anyway, if you want that, link is down below in the description. Let me know which free stocks you get. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.